Good morning. We've started late, and today I'm very happy because of the panel composition that I have. It is 50-50. There are 50% of us who are beautiful ladies, and 50% of us are gents. So that's a good thing. And I think anybody sitting here doesn't need any introduction, so I'll go right into it, and since we have less time. So, Aarti, you need no introduction. You've handled crisis communication, reputation management, brand sustainability, and crisis resilience as well. And you've done it from the age where we used to be on typewriters to today where we are discussing AI and the fact that it's the elephant in the room. So in your experience particularly, with crisis communication and reputation turnaround management across sectors, what shifts have you seen in the recent past with the advent of AI in this entire mix?
Thanks for that, Rafi, and pleasure to be here and good to see such a huge crowd here. So I think from crisis point of view, let's take a step back and see where the world is today. And I think the previous sessions we've heard a lot about it. I call it contextual unification, coming from the fact that we all as humans are exposed to so much of information across different channels on a daily basis. All that is coming together with technology, whether that's AI, whether that's Web3, whether that's going to be in the future quantum. And coming back to crisis, right now as we speak, I think if you look at how data will shift the game for even management or communications for crisis, whether that's predictive analytics, whether that's looking at how you can build scenarios for yourself to see how you want to address those situations. I think that's going to be a big thing, and that's already happening. We already have a lot of monitoring tools, sentiment analysis, and AI is making that even much bigger and better and faster. Speed is going to be of the essence, so that takes me to the next point of real time, not just analytics, but also real-time communications. Personalization when it comes to crisis and how you can actually address different people with different situations in the crisis environment. If you also look at risk management, we do have a lot of dashboards today which evaluates and assesses what's the situation on the ground across different stakeholders in a live scenario when you're actually going through a crisis situation. Which influencer is talking more, which influencer is getting divorced or getting influenced by somebody else, whether that's policy, regulatory, or actual situation on the ground. So you can actually personalize your communication to that specific individual to address their specific needs. So that's the benefit that AI brings to the table. But having said that, yes, I don't think it's an elephant in the room, it's an enabler. It empowers all of us to do things differently, reimagine ourselves in a much, much more predictive, proactive way. And at the same time, I think we have to keep in mind, and I think Jayjeet mentioned that as well, we have to have human in the loop for everything. Because that's where the wisdom of our brain comes in, that's one, our intellect. But having said that, it's also this whole aspect of ethics. There's a lot of bias today, for instance, even on AI channels, because it's more skewed towards male commentary, because of the nature of what the engine is getting fed in. So as a result, there are now tools that are being developed across the world where biases will also be removed. But having said that, it's still early days. Yes, we have an evolution process to take it to the next level, and those are learnings that will go along the way. And so influence and trust and reputation, I think those are the three pillars on which every brand will need to operate on. Managing yourselves with character and influence, even in a crisis. We've seen that how brands actually evolve and come out of that with flying colors. I know it was mentioned about other crises that have happened more recently, but I'm not going to mention brands. I'm going to stay away from that part. But I think that's the way the shift of crisis with the advent of AI is happening. It's going to be helping all of us to move to the next level. And yes, we have to reimagine ourselves reimagine the discipline, reimagine everything that we are trying to do. In fact, at CSNA, that's one of my partners internationally, we're a Belgium-based firm. We are in the process of actually trying to see how we can look at building predictive analytics into actual response creation. Today, we do have ChatGPT Perplexity for regular information craft. But how do you do that for a crisis situation? Because what you put in will be what you will get out, but with a lot more analytics behind it. So if in a live situation, imagine you have a dashboard of the entire ecosystem, and you're feeding in what each person is actually talking about, what is the kind of response you should give in that situation so that it gives some level of influence creation and management of the situation on the ground? Those are aspects that we're actually trying to see how it can be addressed. So I'll stop here. There's a lot more I can say, but I think there are more panelists here. We have to hear them as well. Thank you.
Nikhil, let me come to you after what Aarti has said, and as someone who's been shaping council, strategic changes, what do you think should be some of the priority items that we as communicators need to integrate, which is built on AI, so that we remain indispensable rather than being viewed as content creators?
Yeah, thanks, Rafi, and good morning, folks. Or is it good afternoon now? Lovely to see all of you. You ended your question on the note of public relations and our discipline being rooted in content creation. And I think that if we look at our role as content creators only, it would be very limiting. And I would say that that's the opportunity that AI gives us, because content always plays in a context. And the ability to use AI smartly to understand that context is where I think the opportunity lies for our profession, the public relations profession, because the speed at which content can be created, and we're all using it right now, we're having fun with it, a lot of the tools are free, is resulting in what I call the fast foodization of the content game. And when fast food first came, we loved it. We gorged on it, and it was cheap, and it was easy, and it was tasty, and that's what's happening right now with content. It is easy, it is fun, there's so many tools, and more are going to come. And that's going to create this problem of plenty where we are going to start bulging in the midriff, like all those who gorged on the fast food. And if we don't be careful over there, we are going to get into this trap where we are suddenly going to find ourselves saying, oh, this is not healthy for me, this is not good for me, I need to find a healthier way to operate. So this parallel, when I look at it from the PR lens, I would say there are two pieces. One is, as enterprise leaders, all of us in some way will have a span of control. What can we do to enable the reputation business to flourish? And the other is as individuals. How are we as individuals going to use this opportunity and this tool? And I will give you an example to bring this home. I would say I'll give you a personal example, because I think that's more important today, because any of you can put into any tool right now what is the threat and danger of AI and get much more wisdom than I could offer you. But what you can't get is the personal narrative that I can offer. So very recently, my son got married last week. And I was invited to be the officiant. And the first thing I was like, oh shit, this sounds scary, this sounds tough, but no worries. ChatGPT is there, Perplexity is there, and all the AI tools are there. So I can use that to help craft the narrative, the content. And then I suddenly said, you know what, is that what the couple want from me? I may get the best words, but are they my words? At the same time, I did use AI very, very effectively, which was to understand in the state that I was getting them married in US, was it legal for me to be an officiant? So I did a lot of research using AI to understand what was okay, what was not okay. And this is where I talk about delegation. I delegated that work to my AI partner. But what I didn't delegate was the actual writing of the content. I used my own experiences of the couple to make it meaningful to them. So there's delegation and then there is abdication. And I think that the line between these two, we have to be very, very careful. The temptation to abdicate so much of work outside of what we should be is high, and currently it's possible to do. So maybe I'll end on that note saying that as we start embracing the opportunity, we must figure out where to delegate and where not to abdicate, because if we abdicate, we are letting go of that humanness that we all talked about. The humanness that I brought to that event was my own anecdotes of that couple. So this is a very personal example, but there are work examples that relate in the same way, but I'll probably come back to that later. So I'll leave you with that thought. Let's not abdicate our responsibility, but let's smartly delegate and use AI to enhance the public relations profession. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Arpana, let me come to you because this is quite relevant and what both of them have spoken, and realizing that you've been leading corporate communications at a large scale in various organizations, what, in your opinions, are the structures and skills that us as communicators must have within our teams or within the function so that AI actually becomes a strategic co-pilot rather than, as we talked about, content creator or be a soulless provider of content?
Thanks, Rafi, and a very good afternoon to everybody. Couldn't think of a better Monday morning than to be here and not in office. A room full of, and a stage full of friends, a room full of so many familiar faces and new people to be met. But to bring back to your question, Rafi, I was just taking notes from the first few sessions and listening to what Nikhil said, Aarti said. Some of the words: experience, access, resourcefulness, empathy, wisdom, moral courage, purpose, right? What does this all get red-threaded to in an organization and as somebody who heads communications? Essentially, I think any organization, it's all about how do we protect that human capital. It's all about the human judgment and how do we protect that. I will speak from my example, my own organization. We have a cross-functional team where I, along with my chief AI officer, the head of my IT and legal, we have a cross-functional team where we've come together and are looking at, what are the guardrails, whether it's even from a crisis and risk management perspective, what are the early warning signals that we can preempt, how do we use that? Our crisis playbook has a very updated AI-defined crisis rule book, deep fakes, etc. How do we tackle that? Those are living realities for each one of us. And I think from my team perspective, I think it's hygiene to know the tool and prompt management. What I'm looking for them and I'm training them, and the new talent that I'm looking at is how do you interpret not just say content, but the data that's coming out. So I think it's a combination of both of those elements that's very important. And I think we've been hearing and we're talking about co-pilot, right? You have to learn how to fly to have a co-pilot. Otherwise, it's autopilot, and that's where the crashes happen. So the elephant in the room is not our ability to use AI. It's actually our inability to reimagine ourselves. So as long as we can reimagine and understand that technology is only going to amplify, human intelligence, and we still have the courage, like the narrative courage and the moral compass, I think that's where you have a win-win.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Aparna. Very interestingly, now I'm switching the question to something that we are known to do and do every day, because we have Anup with us, who has the experience of designing communication that resonates across various cultures, local to national to international. And therefore, the question that I have for you, Anup, is what do you see as imperatives in storytelling, and what is it that AI can make us do better? And some pitfalls that may be there, especially if you look at from the context of, making your messages out on the same subject to different kinds of audiences whose sensibilities are different.
Thanks, Rafi, and good afternoon, everybody. Before I answer, I'll take you back to roughly like 28 years back. Two of my esteemed panelists were there in a different capacity. I used to work for a company, we were doing the marketing services for Solutions, was doing that for CNBC. And the agency side was Nikhil Day, who spoke about truth trust in a different capacity right now. So that time, internet was something new which has come. And I think we would be one of the first ones to try an internet quiz. When anything on digital was not, word was not there, so internet quiz. So there, we said, okay, it's very easy, we'll do the quiz, questions will come, and people will do. We tried to work on the solution. So Nikhil, that time he was heading a PR firm, and they were partners. He said that all is fine. What happens if the internet, this connection breaks? Now, honestly, we didn't have a clue, the technology team. So he said, but okay, there is a solution. We can manage the media in a different format. So instead of inviting all the media, like a press briefing where things are live, he said there is something called wire service, which is PTI, Reuters, etc. We'll try and work on it. So that was the first time I learned, okay, narratives can be managed. You don't have to cheat, you don't have to say wrong. But how you portray it, how you put it. So there was a time when I first learned there. And good that, Rafi, that you are using a notepad, because on the screen, if you see, there is something which says, there's something called fax machine. I think some of the seniors like us would know, the gray hairs. Okay? But, okay, basically, it says that, does anybody know how to operate a fax machine? Now, that is something which is there. From there, now, if you see, today, if you open today's newspaper, Hindustan Times, which you see, now how things have changed. Things have changed today, the newspaper, you don't have to open the newspaper. What does the newspaper say? It says, breaking news. So on the screen says, I will tell you how to break news. So basically, the newspaper saying, you don't have to open the news, you scan it, I will make a synopsis, which something, Apna said that today they have the newsroom, she sits with the AI team and they do that. So my friends, the problem is if we don't evolve from what Nikhil taught me that time, from a fax stroke internet to what we call digital and social, you really need to do. So the two things which are very, very important we're seeing is that today news or any information, they don't come in the manner which we want. It goes from search has become now, there's a term which has started coming in the communication side, it's zero click. So they don't want you to click. They will make the synopsis. And if they make the synopsis, are we doing right? I'm sure we will. I mean, there's an elephant in the room. That time also it was there. From what we heard earlier, that in the stone, it was written, the name of the hotel to Rafi and few of us using paper sheets. It will be there. What is important is that, are we prompting right? I mean, again, on the screen, you will say, what we want from AI, but is it coming? So, Rafi, on the storytelling side, it is, you really need to know the face which you want to decipher. Use it. Like Nikhil used that he wanted his son's wedding to happen in a particular format when he was, sorry, what was the word, Nikhil, you were saying? Officiating. So, he was officiating. He used the data or the information which was right for the occasion from an AI, but it cannot be there. Right, from Dilip, everybody said. So you today, if you don't use AI in the regular format, you are dead. Trust me, you are dead. Because when you tomb, that stone will now be a digital screen. It will say that here lies in peace. So I rest my peace for this right now.
Thank you, Anup. Tesi, now this leads me to the question that I wanted to ask you, because I believe that you've done strategic communication across various industries and across functions of public policy and things like that. And I remember the discussion that I had with you where you said AI is something that is already being part of this entire process. So what I wanted to ask you is, in the communications workflow, should one comfortably use AI today? What are some of the things that we can do to enhance authenticity, accuracy, and trust within this AI world? Because there is information coming from everywhere. We talked about bots and things like that. So what can a communicator who's running this department do as far as this is concerned?
Thank you, Rafi sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I think we have heard views from all the experts. What I will say that we should use AI as an enabler, as a co-pilot with authenticity, credibility. So we can't fully bank on AI. In our organization, like I was discussing earlier, we do give AI trainings. We do, of course, use AI as our extended team member, as an enabler, but we never rely on AI because in this era of deepfakes, and I'll give you a live example, that while we were taking a session on AI for our employees in a global town hall, and we were talking about deepfakes, agentic AI, all those, all of us got a mail in our mailbox. And it was a deep fake in the group CEO's voice. And that is when we had to pause and think that where are we heading towards? So as the topic says that AI is an enabler, a co-pilot, but not the elephant in the room. AI, yes, can do wonders if we use it ethically, authentically, and we use it as our assistant, as an extended team member. And to add to that, in our organization, we don't use ChatGPT. It's not allowed on our systems. What we have is our own Syngenta app, which is called SynGPT. That is to protect our data. We have a full AI team who keeps giving us updates, but then we screen it very carefully. We, of course, do cross-check, verify everything, because in this digital era, you can't solely bank on a machine. So what I'm trying to say is that, AI will never be able to replace communicators, but those who don't evolve with AI would get replaced, because each day the trends are changing. Every day is a new learning day. Every day you get up in the morning and you see one new app coming, one new technology taking over. So as communicators being into the business, if you don't update yourself, you don't upgrade yourselves, you will not even realize when you will be out of the business. And I say it with great responsibility, because yes, AI is taking center stage, but I will never call it the elephant in the room. I will always maintain that it's the enabler, it's the co-pilot, and we are the masters. In a complex business system where we work, where as communicators, as public policy experts, we are the ones who are responsible for the narrative of the organization, who are responsible for all the crisis communications. We can't really bank on AI. Yes, something which you have to do as a human, as a communicator, is verify all the facts, get all your facts right, get all the information collected, write your own story. And I'm a former journalist. I will still say that I never take help of AI in writing my original story, because my original words, my thoughts will never come up through AI. Yes, what I will do is I will use it ethically, morally, for some grammar corrections, to add some value to it, to polish it, because once it's available, why not use it? But again, if we do any AI-driven work, it's a machine. It will not be able to give the kind of trust, the kind of authenticity, and the kind of value which is really required. As communicators, one of our job is aligning communication goal with business objectives. How an AI will be able to understand your business goals unless you do a market research? AI can be your best friend in mapping the data for you, in giving you all the information, but then it's our skill how we are using it, how as a master we are using AI, I will say that word, what are the prompts we are giving, and if I come to anecdotes, I have seen many of my team members who don't know how to give the right prompt, and when the end result is there, one can easily make out this is not done by a human, this is not done by a communicator, this is purely AI work. And that is where we all have to draw a line basically on how to keep pace with this digital world, with AI, upgrade ourselves, update ourselves every day, use it to the best of our work and for the betterment of our organization, as an assistant, as a co-pilot, as an enabler, but don't give charge to AI for everything. The day you give charge to AI for everything, you will end up having a disaster for yourself, for the organization. So when we talk about crisis communications, I deal with a lot of crisis day in, day out. So if you give that job to AI, how will an AI understand what the sentiments of the stakeholders on ground is? What is the online sentiment? What is the government point of view? That only a seasoned communicator will be able to tell. What AI can do is give you research, pull the data, give you the sentiments online, but how you use it, how you create your narrative, and in our terminology as a communicator, how you prepare that holding statement, how you prepare that brief, that depends upon how you humanize it, how you do the market research yourself, the on-ground research yourself. Another aspect of it is leadership training, which is very important these days because what you speak and what goes on public platforms is the message from the organization. So AI can't train your leaders. It's you who understand each leader's potential, what the business requirements are, what that particular leader needs to speak, to be authentic, to be truthful, and of course, to be representing the work the company is doing. So all that involves human intervention, and that only a seasoned communicator will do. So with this, I will again say that AI will not replace communicators, but the communicators who will not evolve, upskill themselves, and use AI ethically, morally, will be replaced soon. With this, I end my notes. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I just have a sort of a thing to throw here, and I want all of you to answer it in 1 or 2 minutes. There are 2 points that come up always when we are discussing AI. One is the fear that are we automating the things that we used to do manually earlier, which is, and is that impacting the way we are thinking? That's part one. And part two is that if we are using AI to predict, to analyze, to give us dashboards, are we going to come to a stage where most of us will start reacting to that dashboard and leave the other instincts apart? Or in the future, those instincts, as you spoke about, Arpana, experience, courage, purpose, which comes through age as well, will continue to dominate, and AI will just be a tool and not something to fear as we all are today.
Rafi, if I may just, in fact, Anup and I were at a conference earlier last week where Harit Nagpal, who heads Startup Play, had a very interesting analogy to draw here, which I'd like to repeat for this audience. Technology has, earlier we used to have dates, used to go to friends who had friends or your elder siblings or somebody where you could meet more people, and that's how you would date. Now comes your, then came the websites and the matrimonial sites, and then the dating apps, swipe left, swipe right. So you meet people through that, things get serious, and you want to commit. That's when the families come into play. No AI, no dating app is going to come, convince, right? That's where the human element of convincing your parents and the extended families, because it's not two people getting married, it's always families getting married. That element will always remain. There is absolutely no technology that can take over that.
Arpana, you mentioned that very nicely. And in fact, if you see on the screen, like what's happening today, is the audience is flirting between reels and entertainment. I mean, that's something which is there. So this is the thing where AI is being pushed a lot by you know, how the narratives are being pushed. I mean, we know one thing starts and then it just leads. So it is all the prompts which are doing. So the question for communicators is that, are you as an audience going from entertainment to reels and missing out on the main agenda? So, because these things keep happening, you know, I mean, like they say that, you know, whatever is happening on the social media, people will keep talking about it. But ultimately, it is what is the fact which will only come when, you know, there is certain stuff which are there written. And like Aarti said that, I mean, the bias part, like if you do like a search on king, chances are very high that you will get somebody wearing a big crown and a white person. And similarly, if you do a beautiful girl, it is almost always right now a white girl. I mean, Barbie, they did a whole series around it. So these are certain stuff which is there, which are very, very important, that for a storytelling, you really need to have the facts written, and what, like you said, that you have to keep seeding those things. Otherwise, it will keep going. I mean, it will not be there, because, let's be honest, truth is something which will only come after some time, and that gets embedded. Yeah.
If I may just add also, is I think in this world of acceleration, speed is becoming so much faster for everything across all disciplines. AI is actually helping you distill all of that in real time really quickly, so that for leaders or for any business to make decisions faster is becoming that much better. And in that spirit, I think AI is going to help us in that direction. So it's all about predictive, proactive, but at the same time, when you're talking about real time, that's where the human wisdom, or the whole aspect of us thinking and imagining, or creating the right kind of frameworks, or addressing it in the right manner so that ethics is maintained, trust is retained, and reputation is managed in the right spirit. And that's where the power of the brand, power of influence for any organization or individuals as brands themselves, as personal brands, will thrive in the world as we move along.
I'll build on the anecdote that RP gave about Harit and the family and how it comes together. But this time I said I will stay away from marriage. I will stick to a work environment. Last month, I was invited by a very large client of ours to submit a proposal for a crisis management workshop. And it was a very, very detailed brief, beautifully articulated. So I did what all of us do. I took the brief, I put it into AI, and I said, can you create a proposal? And I now know how to remove the M dashes and to try and add a few words to make it sound human appropriate. And it was a beautiful looking proposal. I mean, better than I could have created, honestly. And before I was going to press the send button to the client, and this was your question, right? Are we outsourcing everything? And what about the friction of work? I said, shit, if they buy this proposal, I'm going to be standing in a room with 30 leaders, and I'm going to have to deliver this damn workshop which AI has created. Because AI is not going to deliver it. Nikhil Day has to deliver it. I said, okay, pause. Now let me look at it. It was really interesting to see all the new ideas. So I'm glad that I looked at the new ideas, but I'm equally glad that I just didn't press send. So I literally started from scratch again, using all my own experience of structuring workshops, of knowing what works, of which exercises will work, and knowing the client, and knowing what would work for them, which that context the AI didn't have. And then I used the AI only to figure out new case examples, because my case examples were dated. So I said, can you give me new, interesting case examples that I can then take into the room, which are sector specific to that client. So I'm so glad that I didn't abdicate, that I delegated. But that friction and that smartness to say that, look, I got to put in some hard work. I can't just take the easy route, I think is a reminder to myself through this example and to all of us that, and the workshop went really well. So, yeah, that's it.
So yeah, just quickly on that, AI will write the lines, the humans will make meaning out of it.
Well said.
I just wanted to add that, also keep in mind that there's a future that we're moving towards. And that's where the world of agentic AI will come in. And yes, outsourcing will become that much more. which means that once the engines have that much more of data, imagine the power that it can give you as individuals as well. And yes, the human element will stay, and you will have to do the checks and balances for yourself to see what you can deliver, what you can't. But I think you should prepare yourself, skill yourself for the world of agentic AI as well, even in communications as a function.
Desi?
Yeah, so very quickly, as my mentor Dilip Cherian said, don't romanticize AI. So why he said, I'll give a very funny example, an anecdote from last week. I received an invitation from a very, very senior person from ministry saying, please be there at this time, at this venue and all. So because I respect him, I went, I called him, I said, sir, I'm waiting. You said it will be a gathering of around 28 leaders. Where are we? He said, oh, I was sitting in that corner of the world and I took AI's help to refine the message, and because of the time zone, instead of Monday, it took Tuesday. So it has already happened. So this is the harm AI is going to do to all of us. With this, I will end that the future belongs to communicators who evolve with AI without losing the authenticity that only humans can deliver. So be human. Use your wisdom, use AI as a co-pilot, as an enabler, is what I will say. Thank you.
Well, time is up, and I'll end with just one line for all of us who are sitting here. I think the elephant is in the room. So either the elephant is going to squeeze you and you won't be able to breathe, or you utilize the advantages that that elephant offers you to increase your capabilities. Then there is no job threat that you'll ever have from AI. Thank you.